Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never thought honesty could sound like betrayal until the morning I packed my suitcase and told James I'd be gone for 3 days. I didn't lie. Not exactly. I said it was a work trip, that my boss needed me on site for a client rollout in Seattle. James nodded the way he always did, distracted, trusting, already half inside his own thoughts. We'd been married 7 years, long enough for routines to replace questions, long enough for silence to feel normal. James worked from home now, freelance consulting, flexible hours. I used to admire that about him. Lately, it annoyed me. He was always there, always watching, not suspiciously, just present. And presence, I was learning, can feel like pressure when you're unsure of yourself. At the office, my boss Daniel framed the trip as an opportunity. FaceTime with executives. Career growth. Visibility. He said my name like it mattered. He listened when I spoke. When he asked me to join him for the trip, I said yes before thinking it through. It felt good to be chosen. That night, while folding clothes, James asked casually who else was going. I said just Daniel. The way his hands paused for half a second didn't register as a warning. I kept talking, filling the space with logistics, hotel names, meeting schedules. He didn't argue. He didn't forbid. He just said, okay, and went back to his laptop. If this story already feels familiar, take a moment to like the video so it reaches others who may recognize these quiet turning points. The flight was early. Daniel upgraded us to first class, said it was easier to work that way. We talked business at first, then work-adjacent things. Careers, missed chances, regrets we never admitted out loud. Somewhere between turbulence and coffee refills, the line shifted. Not crossed, just blurred. I noticed how easily I laughed, how light I felt. Seattle was gray and cold. The hotel was upscale, all glass and steel. Separate rooms, of course. That's what I told myself mattered, that nothing inappropriate was happening. Still, when James texted asking how the flight went, I waited 10 minutes before replying. I don't know why. Meetings ran long. Dinners were late. Daniel suggested grabbing a drink to unwind. I said yes again. It was easier than saying no. We talked about James, about how stable he was. Daniel smiled and said stability was underrated, but so was ambition. I drank faster than I should have. Back in my room, I stared at the ceiling longer than necessary. I didn't sleep well. In the morning, James sent a picture of the dog sitting by the door. He misses you, the caption read. My chest tightened. I typed a heart, then erased it, then sent it anyway. On the second night, after a long presentation, the client invited us out. Loud bar, shared plates. Too much laughter. Daniel's hand brushed mine once. Accidentally. Or not. I didn't pull away. That was a moment. Not dramatic. Not explosive. Just a quiet decision I didn't fully admit to myself. If you've ever noticed how small choices start big consequences, share this story with someone who understands that weight. I called James from my room later, forcing cheer into my voice. He asked if I was tired. I said yes. He asked if everything was okay. I said of course. The lie sat between us, heavy and unseen. After we hung up, I cried without knowing exactly why. The flight home felt different. Daniel was polite, professional, almost distant. The bubble had popped, leaving only reality behind. When I walked to the front door, James hugged me longer than usual. His arms felt safe, familiar. I inhaled deeply, trying to anchor myself. That night, he asked again how the trip was. I said productive. He nodded. Then he asked, did anything happen I should know about? His tone was calm. Too calm. I laughed it off. Told him he was overthinking. He didn't smile. Pause here and comment one word that describes what you think James is feeling right now. The next morning, I woke to the sound of drawers opening. James was packing. Quietly, efficiently. I asked what he was doing. He said he needed space. I asked why. He looked at me, really looked, like he was seeing something he couldn't unsee. I know, he said. My stomach dropped. I asked what he meant. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse. He just said he knew enough. That something about the trip didn't add up. That trust, once bent, doesn't snap loudly. It just gives way. If this moment stirred a reaction, comment below and share your perspective on whether trust can survive uncertainty. I tried to explain, or justify, or minimize. I'm not sure which. James listened, then zipped his bag. At the door, he turned and said, I won't compete with a version of you that doesn't respect me. Then he left. James didn't answer my calls for 3 days. Not once. I left messages that grew shorter, less defensive, more honest. I told him I was sorry. I told him nothing physical happened, which was true, but felt weak even as I said it. Silence has a way of stripping excuses bare. By the 4th day, I stopped calling and started listening to the quiet I created. The house felt unfamiliar without him. His mug still sat by the sink. His jacket hung where he left it. I realized how much of our marriage lived in these small, unnoticed details. The kind you only see when they're about to disappear. I went to work, smiled through meetings, nodded at Daniel like nothing had changed. He didn't bring up the trip. I didn't either. Whatever tension I thought existed between us dissolved into something strictly professional. That should have reassured me. Instead, it made everything feel more pointless. A week later, James emailed me. Not a paragraph. Not an argument. Just a request to meet. Public place. Neutral ground. I agreed immediately. We sat across from each other at a quiet cafe, sunlight cutting the table in half. He looked tired but steady, like someone who had already made peace with a hard decision. He didn't accuse me. That hurt more than if he had. He said trust isn't just about fidelity. It's about intent, about choosing your partner even when no one is watching. He said the trip itself wasn't the problem. The secrecy was, the hesitation, the way I'd pulled away before I ever left. I tried to explain how invisible I'd felt before Daniel ever asked me to go. James nodded, but said feeling unseen doesn't justify blinding someone else. When he told me he was filing for separation, my chest tightened. I asked if there was anything I could do. He shook his head gently, said he didn't hate me, said he just couldn't stay married to someone he no longer trusted to protect what they had built. I watched the man I loved stand up, wish me well, and walk out with dignity I didn't feel I deserved. In the weeks that followed, friends took sides quietly. Some said James overreacted. Others avoided the topic altogether. At night, I replayed every moment leading up to the trip, searching for the exact point where things tipped. There wasn't one, just a series of choices that felt harmless on their own and devastating together. I moved into a smaller apartment. I learned how loud loneliness can be when it's earned. Daniel eventually transferred to another department. We never spoke about it. My career moved forward. My marriage didn't. Success tasted flat, without someone to share it with. Months later, James and I finalized the paperwork. No drama. No courtroom fights. Just signatures and silence. As we stood outside afterward, he told me he hoped I found whatever I was looking for. I wanted to tell him I already had and let it go. Instead, I wished him happiness and meant it. If you're still here, take a second to share this story with someone who understands how easily trust can be lost and how hard it is to earn back. Time did what it always does. It softened the sharpest edges without erasing the lesson. I stopped blaming Daniel. Stopped blaming James. Eventually, I stopped blaming myself long enough to learn. I learned that boundaries matter even when nothing happens. That marriage isn't threatened by temptation as much as it is by neglect. That honesty delayed is honesty denied. One evening, while unpacking an old box, I found a photo of James and me from our second anniversary. We were younger, happier, or maybe just less aware. I didn't cry. I smiled, placed it back, and closed the box. Some chapters are meant to be remembered, not reopened. Comment below. Do you believe intent matters as much as action in a marriage, or is trust only about what actually happens? I don't tell this story to excuse myself. I tell it because consequences don't always wait for guilt to catch up. Sometimes they arrive quietly, pack a bag, and leave you alone with the truth. James didn't leave me because I traveled with my boss. He left because, somewhere along the way, I stopped choosing him when it mattered most. If this story made you reflect, like this video, leave your honest thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for more real stories about trust, choices, and the moments that change everything.